And hello there, it's me. I'm back with a Doctor Who video again. It's been a while, huh? Don't know why I come back with a new one now, though. There been anything going on? I don't know, nothing major or anything. Just a brand new era starting, and just in time for the 60th anniversary of this silly, wonderful little show. It's been a real fun and happy time to be a Who fan, you know? I just feel good. Now, I know I should have really been talking about this a couple of months ago, but look, it's me, okay? Making content just as a hobby at this strange stage of life I find myself in is hard, okay? I'm not even as perpetually plugged into Doctor Who Twitter as I used to be, because I've just had other stuff on my mind. I've just been trying to vibe, dude. But the various things people end up despising each other over on there sometimes is just exhausting. Look, I love all the homies over on Doctor Who Twitter. They can be like a found family. I love them unconditionally. Because, you know, half of them don't know what conditioner is. Get it? Unconditionally. It's just, I'll talk about any discourse-related topics that do pique my interest when they come up, but for the most part, it's just not as much of a vibe anymore. Not when there's the beautiful outside world to enjoy. Bro, I'm literally studying in the Doctor Who Twitter of cities. Anyway, we got some Doctor Who to talk about. So, RTD2, the sort of brand new era. Chibnall's out, RTD's back in after his original departure during the last dying breath of the 2000s, which, rest in peace, shall be very sorely missed. And it's interesting because this is unprecedented for the show, at least for New Who. Especially since New Who's over now, I guess, and we're on to New Who or something, starting afresh from season 1 and everything. So it's a pretty big change, and I'm just going to be chatting about what I think about it all. And not just the episodes we got, I'm going to be covering all the stuff every oddly sexy Who nerd makes ranking videos on. The new Doctors, Sonic Screwdrivers, title sequence, Tardis Interior, the works, plus some other little bits I threw in. You can find timestamps here in the video if you just want to check out my thoughts on something specific. I honestly could do videos ranking all those things like Sonic Screwdrivers, Tardis Interiors, title sequences, etc. from across the show as well. I easily could, so let me know if you do want to see that. And before we jump into all that, I just want to say that my most recent video was the biggest one I've ever worked on, and no, it wasn't just me aimlessly rambling on without a script like those recent things I liked videos that I did 2 of and never anymore because they fucking sucked. No, it was a whole ass ranking and review of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass that took me months to make. So if that sounds like something you'd enjoy checking out, please do, and please let me know what you think. Now to start this, I've actually got to start off somewhat serious. I said somewhat serious. I owe an apology, specifically to Gibby 4 numbers and Shem Del Ashem Me Good 29. You guys watched my video, enjoyed it, and took time out your days out of the goodness of your hearts to make requests and suggestions on something to discuss, and I just didn't deliver. Interest in these were high at the time too, because the titles had just been revealed and we didn't yet know their meaning. Plus, this was all we'd seen of 15's wardrobe so far, and neither of those are true anymore, and... Wait, so big me, you know, live action, non-drawn me, can make things just kind of appear here for the sake of gags. Because of that Doctor Who video from a year ago, there's now like a stoner sink running around my house now, and to be fair to him, he's a chill dude. But if he can do that, then maybe, just maybe... Ah, perfect. So when it comes to this game, I feel like a lot of people wouldn't have expected it to... Holy Jesus balls! Yo, me from a year ago. Oh, it's the video on the new Mario Strikers. You were actually making that, huh? Yeah, cute. Listen, I need a favor. This is... How working on my vid on the 60th, but since you're earlier back, I'm gonna need your thoughts on the titles of the specials and on Ncuti's costume reveal. Okay, I guess I can... Alright, thanks, man. See ya. Okay, well, this is happening.
Bro, you need any help, man?
All good, Dave. So it's early 2023. Right now, definitely, 100%. Don't look at your calendar, it's true, you don't need to. And we've had the titles of the 3 60th anniversary specials revealed to us. The Star Beast. 1-to-1 with the original story it's paying homage to, and if you saw my Hopes and Worries video, you'll know exactly why this really excites me. Plus, it's just a cool sounding name. I like it. While Blue Yonder. Now this, I like. It references an old war song, so maybe it'll be about that or tie into those themes somehow, but this being Who, I can only imagine that this is the episode where we head off into the Wild Blue Yonder and see the wonders or most likely horrors of deep space. Sounds mysterious, sounds intriguing, I'm excited, and since this is the one episode we know nothing about, I'm hoping this is where we see some real weird shit. Well, wouldn't that be something and make me super awesome and smart for predicting that? 5'11" versus 6 foot. And The Giggle. Kind of a shit title, just sounds weird. The Giggle. Not The Giggle of Doom or The Giggle Through Time or something like that, just The Giggle. Really weird name for what's likely to end up being a Regeneration episode 2. I'm sure it'll definitely have context that ties it together in the episode itself, but for now, not a fan. And we've also had the reveal of the 15th Doctor's costume, and I'm in two minds about it. For one, it's elegant, it's regal, it's smart, it's gentlemanly. It gives me vibes of a Doctor that's actually quite fashion-minded, and like maybe he has a lot of different looks he cycles through. Maybe someone's accurate to the time periods he visits or something. Now, wouldn't that be something? The only thing about this one for me, though, is that it's just a little bit too simple for me. It's kind of like the 9th Doctor's look. It doesn't really scream the Doctor's outfit to me. There's some small details about it I do like, but it's just lacking that one extra thing for me. That one extra little bit of oomph to really cement it as a Doctor-y costume for me. But that's just right now. I haven't seen it in action yet, and I'm sure it and whatever else 15 goes on to wear will grow on me. Alright, you can cut back to the present now. Also, real George, this ain't gonna be permanent, is it? Okie dokie, so now for the stuff I can actually talk about in context of existing in the time that I do now. Before we get to the episodes themselves, let's go over some neat little tidbits about the show that us nerds like to rant and rave about.
Yes, look at that, skipping through time.
This new title sequence is, as I believe the kids say, fucking gas? Wait, gas is more powerful than solid now? No clue who decided this shit. The visuals are easily the best we've ever seen for a Doctor Who title sequence. It really makes the time vortex feel like a real tangible place somewhere out there in the fabric of space-time. We see the TARDIS surfing along it, being tossed around by it, bursting through its clouds until towards the end after the logo shows up and we get the more traditional vortex to show the episode title. It's ethereal. The quality of the visuals is also great. It's like the design mentality of the last title sequence doing the concept of the original RTD and first Moffat sequences. It's brilliant stuff. It would be one of my favourites, but there's just one thing that really lets it down for me. The music. It's very grandiose and orchestral, very Series 4-esque, but something about it just feels missing to me. It just doesn't pack a strong punch. It's lacking a certain... yeah. I remember when we first heard the live version, I was thinking the same thing, but being sure it'd be better when we heard the studio version, and it was, but still felt lacking. But then I realised what that was and why it felt lacking to me. With each Who theme, you've got its 3 basic components that always make it iconic. That bass line, that famous melody, and of course the visuals.
Come over here and kiss me on my hot mouth.
And in this one, while it nails the visuals and the actual orchestral stuff sounds very nice, the melody feels weak, and also the bass line is just a complete non-presence. You can barely hear it. And more often than not, that bass line is what gives each arrangement of the theme its beat and its punch, which feels lacking here. I actually recently began delving into the rabbit hole of fan remixes on YouTube, you know, the trope of doing one old theme versus another theme, and in this case I was looking at ones to do with the 2023 one. And I've come to the conclusion that what this theme really needed is, as well as the 1963 theme subtly mixed into the background as usual, throw in another old theme more prominently. 2 come to mind that in the remixes I've heard are genuinely a match made in heaven for this. The 1980 Peter Howell theme from seasons 18 to 22, and the 1986 Dominic Glynn theme from season 23. The 1980 theme fits it remarkably well, like in this version by Aaron S. The sound effects from that theme would need to be better placed, but hey, they'd be a great addition, and it fits great, but also, that 1986 theme, which is legit one of my least favourite versions of the theme ever, I'm genuinely convinced that these two are made for each other. Give Aaron S.'s version a listen real quick. Just listen to that. Links to the full videos in the description, by the way, but like, the bass line of the 1986 theme is just there enough to give that needed punch without being overbearing. Plus, the two versions of the melodies blend together like mixing paint. It's perfect. I genuinely wish so badly that they'd done this. Even in this version by Web of Time, that's literally just a 1986 theme, but with the 2023 theme's drums. Bro, those drums complement that theme so damn perfectly. You took a theme that I didn't really like because of its messy bass line, and you made it awesome. Seriously, I wish to God that they'd incorporated this theme into it. It's uncanny how well it works. So to sum up thoughts on the new titles, visuals are genuinely 10 out of 10. It's just that arrangement of the theme that really needs some extra addition to spice it up. My vote's on throwing the 1986 theme in there. Seriously, that theme and this are made for each other, and you cannot convince me otherwise. Also, while we're here, yes, I am also annoyed by the change in timing with the theme and the visuals compared to previous title sequences. But no, I'm not that bothered about it because plenty of the classic titles were timed in a similar way or similarly played fast and loose with the timing for each iteration, and much like with those, it will just end up being a fun quirk of this one that we'll look back on and either like or dislike in the future. Anyways.
It's just like my Sonic!
Okay, so surprisingly, we have two new Sonics to talk about rather than one, since 14 got one just for the 60th specials and 15 got one for the show going forward, so I'll go over them both. Firstly, alrighty, I'ma just say it, the design of 14's fucking slaps and is one of my new favourites. I'm not the first, and I definitely won't be the last to point out that it just looks like a mashup of 9/10s with 11s and a sprinkle of 12s thrown in. It's like 11s with the structural style of 12s plus a 9 and 10s coat of paint, and something about that is just absolutely moi chef's kiss and makes for an incredible Sonic design. It's sleek, it's snazzy, it's cool looking. It's sleek, it's snazzy, it's cool looking, it's back to looking like a high-tech scientific instrument, and doesn't quite dethrone 11s as my favourite Sonic of all time, but it's pretty damn close. Which just makes the fact that we only got it for the 60th plus what we got afterwards all the more tragic. Because 15 Sonic, I probably need to give it a bit more time to grow on me, but I'm sorry, I just really don't like this one at all. It's not even necessarily the fact that it doesn't look like a Sonic Screwdriver anymore, even though yes, the fact that it looks so different but is still called a Sonic Screwdriver does really bother me. We've had things like the Sonic Cane, Sonic Lance, and Sonic Lipstick before, so why not be honest about this thing? This ain't a Sonic Screwdriver, it's a Sonic Remote, may as well call it that. Bro out here with a Sonic Razer gaming mouse. But even separated from that, I just find this one kinda ugly, especially compared to the one we just had with 14. There are little things I like about it, like the Rwandan proverb written on it in Gallifreyan as a little nod to Ncuti is actually really fucking cool. But as a design overall, nah, this ain't it, chief. Again, I might just need a bit more time with it, but at the moment I just find it ugly, and if I was holding a toy or replica of it in my hands right now, I genuinely wouldn't be sure which way round I'm supposed to hold it.
Look at you. Oh, you sexy thing.
Onto that TARDIS real quick, and for starters, I actually really like that we're keeping 13's TARDIS exterior because I always thought it looked gorgeous and was one of my favourite things about the era. And as for that interior, man, it's a similar case with 14's Sonic for me. It doesn't quite dethrone my favourites, but my god, it's up there. To quickly swing back to the first RTD era, I grew up with that TARDIS interior, and I understand the thought process behind it. It's simplified compared to what we'd go on to get, you know, big round room covered in roundels with the console in the middle and some little tidbits of furniture like the chairs, very much in the vein of the classic era console rooms, but brought into what was at the time the modern day with this grungy, dingy, almost organic look. It speaks both to the era, the 2000s, but also to the fact that we're dealing with a very damaged post-Time War Doctor who's really let the place go. Again, I grew up with this interior, and I loved it at the time, but since then, having seen what New Who would go on to do with the TARDIS, and having seen most of Classic Who now, it's honestly become one of my least favourites. And the reason why I've mentioned that is not just the fact that we've got the same showrunner back, but also because they seem to have taken a similar strategy with the TARDIS interior, bringing the classic interior into the modern day, but in reverse. Rather than a classic interior with a modern coat of paint, it's like a modern interior with a classic coat of paint. And you know what? Enough beating around the bush. This thing is beautiful. Again, 12's interior is my favourite, followed by 11's as my second favourite, and it doesn't quite beat those, but it does beat my third favourite. The interior the 5, 6, and 7 shared with that sweet-ass console that looks like it's made up of Commodore 64s, Amstrad CPCs, and ZX Spectrums and shit. We got a big expansive console room with multiple levels and ramps and pathways all round. We got the classic white colour scheme with the classic roundels and slick panels all coming together in a marriage of past and present that looks just so pretty. This is a TARDIS that deserves to be called
Sexy.
Only when we're alone.
Plus all those pathways, man. Seeing Tennant do all that running across and around them just looks so much fun. Like, dude, I want to go to this set and do that. And if all that weren't beautiful enough, and if this marriage of old and new wasn't perfect enough, boom, multicolored mood lighting. Miss TARDIS ain't just gonna splash out on them £5 Amazon LED strip lights, as kind of a vibe as they are. No, we got full-on multicolored TARDIS mood lighting, and fuck, if it weren't for 11 and 12's TARDISes existing, I'd want to live in this one. I'd chill in there and spark up a zoot with 15, it'd be a blast. And speaking of 15, it's cool seeing that for his run, he's going to start adding furnishing to it, like with the jukebox and stuff, and I hope as the era goes on, we see more and more homely elements begin to be added to it. As that right there fixes literally my only issue with it, that being how empty and kind of cold it feels. But yeah, top tier TARDIS interior, easily breaks my top 3, and I can't wait to find out more about all the little things this baby can do as the era goes on. And now, it's time for a little break. Yeah, I know you all hate this, but midway through writing and recording this thing, I decided to break it up into 2 parts. But don't worry, I'm not going to string you along with a part 2 that never comes like some of my previous vids. I'm getting both made before anything's released. So if everything goes according to plan, you'll get part 2 in a week's time. I'll show the date and time on screen. We've touched on a lot here, and it's been nice, but it's also just been the small bits, you know, the superficial stuff, the stuff that doesn't really carry as much bearing on the era's quality, the little things that are just fun to discuss opinions on for content that I can get out of the way first. For part 2, I'm gonna be looking at the truly important stuff. I was originally going to look at both of our new Doctors themselves and my thoughts on them, 14 and 15, in this part, but it just doesn't really make any sense to do that without first looking at the stories we've had with them so far. So in part 2, dropping in a week's time, I'll be taking a look at each episode we've seen of this run so far. The 60th anniversary specials with 14, the Star Beast, Wild Blue Yonder, and the Giggle, plus the Christmas special and 15's first story, The Church on Ruby Road. Plus my thoughts on these Doctors and what we've had with them. So far, anyway. So if you enjoyed this video, then you'll definitely enjoy that one, so watch this space, stay tuned for it. I hope you do. I love you. And I do hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, then not to be a beg, but please leave a like, drop a comment below letting me know your thoughts on this exciting new era of the show, and if you can be asked, please do share it around. And subscribe if you haven't already with notifications on, because all those things really help us small channels out, and I don't know if you knew this, but growing on YouTube is very hard. And thank you so much for watching, all you beautiful people, however many or few of you there may be, and I will see you next time. Cheers!
Strange days have fallen.